Welcome to Industry Insider. My name is Carrie Wise. I'm a VP at TrueCar, and I'm joined by my colleague and team member, Matt Jones, who's a director at TrueCar. Thank you so much for joining us on Industry Insider. And I want to start off by making sure that you share this with your friends. We have had so much fun over the last couple weeks. I guess it's been months now of us doing this show, and we really appreciate everybody who has tuned in over the last couple months. Matt, why don't you give them a little background on Industry Insider?
Hi again, and I'd like to thank you all again for sharing your time with us this afternoon. Industry Insider is a show that TrueCar is so glad to promote. We do this every week. Industry Insider, dealer-to-dealer conversations. Carrie's been in automotive for about 20 years. I've been in automotive for about 20 years, and we love automotive. And we thought we had a perfect opportunity to share with the dealer body some tips and some tricks from some of the best movers and shakers within automotive. And that's what dealer-to-dealer conversation is about. And so because we understand that sometimes the best training that a dealer can get actually comes from people who are in the automotive world, living your life and going through the exact same trials and tribulations that you are. So we bring some of the industry's best onto our show. And that's what Industry Insider dealer-to-dealer communications is about. And that's a quick synopsis of our show.
So this show is brought to you by TrueCar. If you want more information about TrueCar as a consumer, you can go to TrueCar.com. And if you're a dealer, you can get more information on our programs and how to reach the millions of consumers that shop on our site at TrueCar.com/dealer. So today we are focusing in on the salesperson. We've had lots of different people at the dealership, but we want to talk to salespeople that are killing it, that are superstars and doing really well in their markets. And today we have one of those superstar salespeople. And she's going to share with us some tips, some techniques, some philosophies that have helped her sell 70 cars a month. Last month, in fact, 70 cars. Let me just say that again, one more time. 70 cars, right? By herself. And so we're going to get some advice from her and understand how she was able to accomplish this. Matt, why don't you introduce our guest?
Yes, Janae Andrews. She's from Napleton, Hyundai in Carmel, Indiana. And we just think she's awesome. Like as Carrie said, she just set it on fire in June. She's pacing a tremendous July. And she does this with no assistant, no personal porters, no spoons. She's just a monster. So we are super, super, super thrilled to have this superstar on our show. And here we are. I'd like to introduce, with no further ado, Janae Andrews.
Janae.
Thank you. Hey, Janae is in the building. I'm honored to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for being a part of the show.
Yeah, we really appreciate you being on. I was just saying, I'm more excited to do this interview than a lot of the interviews we've ever done. And we've had some amazing guests. I gotta say, I look at people's backgrounds. It's always important. We're on these virtual calls. And so you got Kobe behind you. TrueCar is headquartered in LA. Yeah, and I'm a Kobe fan. I'm not a Lakers fan, but I am a Kobe fan. So we appreciate you with a little nod to LA.
How did I not know you were a Lakers fan?
Are you a Lakers fan? Are you from LA in any way or any connections?
Kobe fan.
You're a Kobe fan.
All day.
I got it. Well, superstars have to be fans of superstars, so I get that.
Both. Kobe and Lakers.
You're both. All right. Both. Look at that. Well, we appreciate you being on the show. And before we jump in, want to get a little background on yourself, so, both personally and professionally. How long have you been in the business? How did you get into automotive retail?
Definitely. So born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. I then went to play softball in college down at Lane College. After college, a little confused what I wanted to do. Ended up in Indianapolis, Indiana. The best thing that could have happened to me. Long story short, I met a girl, Christy Robinson, who taught me a skill to sell. I began selling appliances. The store happened to go under, going out of business. That left me unemployed. I then happened to get into the car business, and it's changed my life. So shout out to Christy Robinson. You taught me something that will forever feed my children.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, and Christy. So did you work with her was she in automotive, or did you work with her at the previous companies?
Yes. So Christy sold appliances for Sears. And she and I had a run-in, and she was impressed that I spoke well, that I was a woman of color. There were a few things that drawn her to me. We're actually best friends to this day. But she said, hey, I got a job for you. And she did. I started selling appliances side by side her, one of the top sellers in the company. I thought 60 grand annually was it. I thought I made it. I was doing very, very well. And the best thing could have happened to me was they went out of business because I found the car business.
So,
but how did you get into auto retail though? Sorry, man. I just, so you got inspired to sell through Christy, and I get that part.
Correct.
But what made you want to go in auto retail? Because let me just say, as a woman in automotive, we don't grow up wanting to work in automotive as necessarily our dreams when we're little girls. So what made you go into automotive?
So the appliance store I was working at was literally right across the street from where I'm selling at now. And the day they announced we were going out of business, me at the time, a single mother, well, not at the time now, a single mother of 3 kids, I just needed a job. I literally walked to the nearest car dealership to my company, which happened to be Hyundai. It was simply luck, if you will. The first dealership I ran into, I was going to apply for. I was hired on spot. I just kind of stumbled in. To answer your question, I stumbled into this dealership looking for a job and ended up with one.
What? That is insane.
That was luck.
Well, they were lucky too, by the way. Right? They were lucky.
I think so.
Because they could have overlooked you. You didn't come from automotive, right?
For sure.
You had sold appliances, but they could have said, you know what? You're not a good fit for this, but they hired you on the spot and put you in sales.
It was the energy. The general manager at the time, Jason Morrell, said, there's something about you. And I'm thinking, look, I just need a job. I have 3 babies at the home, you know. And he told me to come back Monday, and I began immediately. And that's another key I always want to point out to people. Energy is everything. People buy this stuff in a can, $3 a can for some energy. Energy is why I'm employed right now. I'm telling you, it's everything.
I've never heard that.
It's magnetic.
I absolutely love this. So how long have you been selling cars?
2 years and about 8 months.
That's incredible to have a conversation with somebody who's hitting the numbers that you're hitting, who's been in the industry for only 2 years and 8 months. Because, I also sold for a long time. I spent a dozen years in car dealerships, and the people that you would normally see who are hitting high numbers, generally, they've been there a long time, right? And 2 years and 8 months, it's not a short time, but that's not 15 years. That's not 20 years, right? To have that type of repeat and referral business, it's going to usually what somebody stands on to drive those kind of numbers. So that just makes it even more impressive. I want to ask you some questions about your beginnings in automotive sales. Is that cool?
Sure.
Okay, so I got two things I want to ask you. The first one is I want to hear what your initial sales training was. Or I'm sorry, did you have initial sales training, or did you start you out there?
Not initially. We were going through a buy sale, so one owner was passing it over to another. So not much training at that time. It's the end of something, so they're not putting too much attention into it, and the beginning of something else. So no, to start me off, I didn't have much training. I think naturally I just liked people and to communicate. So I kind of just figured it out, and I kind of had to. So no training to begin. I think about 6 months later is when I started the sales training process.
Okay. All right. So we're going to get back to that. And then the second question is, as a person who came out of retail from an appliance store right across the street, I need to know, what were your initial thoughts of automotive as a brand new car salesperson?
I hated it. It was hard. I promise you, within the first 60 days, I quit here probably 10 times. And I couldn't really grasp the process. It's not like appliances. People come in, they buy right away. With automotive, it's more of a relationship that you need to create up until the date of purchase, right? So totally 2 different worlds. I'll tell you one thing. My first commission check was $300. I couldn't even pay my car note. Shout out to Christy Robinson again. She paid all my bills that month. I needed her to.
Wow.
Seriously, she paid my rent at the time, my childcare. It's crazy. I couldn't figure it out. I was bringing home maybe $1,000 a month. It wasn't the business for me, so I thought. It was when I began to get that training that I kind of figured it out. I heard a saying, you live by the door, you die by the door. Now you hear it all the time, but when you fully digest it and live by that, I'm telling you, you can make up to 30 grand a month. I'm living proof.
Wow. So what got you over that hump? I mean, you obviously, you mentioned training.
Good question.
You mentioned you had support from Christy, who, by the way, shout out to Christy. Like, I want to know you. I want you to, yes, shout out to Christy. Like, she's one of the heroes in this story. But like, for sure. What else kind of got you over that hump? What was that day where you were like, you know what? I'm not going to quit. I'm going to stick with this.
I'm glad you asked. So the day that I really knew that I had to figure it out is they flooded the floor. It was about 15 of us. And I'm thinking, geez, there's only 3 doors. I was standing by the door the first 8 months of my career. And I'm thinking, now there's 15 people, 3 doors. Doesn't really make sense for me. So I truly understood the marketing yourself aspect. And that's when I hit the ground running. And I started to think about it. Here we are waiting on ups to walk through the door when we look over the ups that we have access to every day. And what I mean by that is my daughter's kindergarten teacher, the parents to the other students, my neighbors, the lady at Kroger who I held the door open for. These aren't ups I have to battle 15 people for. You know why? Because they're mine. They come in contact with only me every single day. It's when I started being involved in the community and getting my name out there. It was like night and day. It changed that fast.
That is pretty amazing. Do you, in what you say reminds us, you know, we had an interview with Ollie Rita, who is the #1 salesperson in the country or the world. He sold 1,500 cars, right? You know Ollie, right? Yeah, and Ollie like has that same philosophy about relationship selling. He doesn't take ups. He doesn't take internet leads. He literally has built this community for himself. And so I think what you said reminds me, do you think being a woman and being a person of color has any advantages in terms of the type of people you're able to connect to?
Absolutely. And I'm familiar with all walks of life. You know, growing up, lifestyle was one way. So I'm familiar with the poverty. I shared a bunk bed with my mother. We shared undergarments for years. And then I'm familiar with, I went off to college and was able to brush shoulders with a different class of people. So I think the benefit of me is I can communicate with the best of them, the worst of them. You can put me in front of anyone and I will find a connection. I guarantee you, I find a connection with anyone you put in front of me. So it works in my benefit, actually, especially the woman. Because it's a male-dominant business where I work at specifically. So you got a woman, you have a woman of color, and the energy is through the roof. It all works in my favor, 100%.
I want to ask you a couple questions about like your process. Now I know, I mean, just talking to you, we've been doing this for what, 8 minutes? Okay. I can tell already, you may not be duplicatable. Your energy and like your aura may not be something that people duplicate, but processes are things that people can duplicate. Yes. So I want to hear about your process. So here's my question for you. I want you to describe, if you can, a typical day in your life at the dealership. Like, what does it look like? What does your day start like? What's your routine?
Yep. So routine is everything. I'm telling you, you have to have one set routine. Whether I'm at the dealership or home, I have a schedule that I stick to. But typically, the dealership opens at 9 a.m. I try to get there around 8 because I like to tie loose ends before we're actually open. The number one thing, guys, you want to be familiar with is your service drive. The customers that are already your customers. And my approach is very soft. Every morning, I walk through the service drive. And it's good morning, how are you? You need some coffee, you want a snack, is your wait too long? I just engage with people. So I treat the dealership like my home, right? And when I get up in the morning, I walk through my home, I make sure everything's up to par. Same thing there. I literally walk through and make sure everything's set. So I get familiar with the service department A. That's the start of my day. And typically I can pull 10 cars a month out of the service drive just by communication. Hey, how much is that service bill? let me take care of that for you right this way, you know? So to start on my morning, I hit the service drive. I make sure my lot is tidy, and I like a clean work environment. So I get everything together there. And the first thing you do is follow up phone calls, guys. You want to touch everything that you've touched through the week. There's so much clients out there that haven't purchased, that are waiting for you to call and check up on them. So step one, service drive. You want to get to work early, and then follow up, follow up, follow up. I'm going to call you until you tell me to stop calling you, right? I'm not just going to be one and done. I'm very aggressive, to say the least. But once we open up, I typically have a few appointments off of my Facebook or my social media that I'll tend to, and then I'll filter the ups, right? I like to touch anyone on my showroom floor, and that's in my benefit. If you have a heartbeat and you're in my building, you're going to say hello to me. You're going to shake my hand. I'm going to offer you something. So I literally, like Mamba mentality, and I will skim the entire dealership looking for movement, right? And if I haven't talked to you yet, I will approach. It's just, I'm telling you, we have 12 hours in a day on the sales floor, right? A shift of typically 12 hours. There's no reason why you can't sell 3 cars if you are utilizing every single minute. Like, there's no downtime. I'm not kicking around asking you how your wife's dinner was. I'm sure she's a great cook, but I'm not here for that, right? And that's just my approach.
So you're not talking about at the water cooler about what happened on 90 Day Fiance this week?
Listen, I'm sure they're great stories, but my auto group pays me very well for a result. And it's nothing personal. I don't have the time. I wish I did. I just don't. Email me. I'll get to it.
So, okay, let's talk about, we really got to dig in, because
yeah, sure.
Let's just be honest. There are people watching this right now. And for those who just joined us, we got a lot more that just joined us. This is Janae Andrews. You will remember that name. Janae last month sold 70 cars by herself. Yes. 70 cars, right? So Janae, there's going to be skepticism. Like, how do you do this? And I know that it's out there. So you talked about the service drive. You definitely man the service drive. You just mentioned social media. Tell me about your presence from a social media standpoint.
So exactly. And more so than social media, I do some other things I'll mention here shortly, but I like to.
I want to learn about all.
Oh, good. Let me give it to you. So I actually have a marketing girl that is hands-on outside the dealership. She doesn't work for me in the dealership, but she's kind of my life's personal assistant, right? She comes over, helps me with the kids, X, Y, and Z. But the key to my success is flyers. And I wish I had one handy, but I create flyers and I will litter the entire city with flyers. Not personally, but I send her out. Now, attached to the flyers are gift cards, whether it's a $5 gas card or a Walmart card or a Steak and Shake card. People are inclined to talk to you when you have something for them. So for Wednesdays, we're actually at Wendy's. We call it Wendy's Wednesday. So we'll sit in a parking lot of a Wendy's. When I say she'll more than me, and we'll just greet people. Hey guys, lunch is on me. You got a minute? You know, someone needs a car, $100 referral, whatever the case may be. You have to engage your community, right? And it has to be more than empty-handed. You put a flyer on my car, I'm probably going to throw it on the ground. Full transparency. But if you approach me with a smile, with high energy, and a $5 gift card, now you got a conversation, right?
Yes,
so that I'm telling you, that alone probably brings me 15 to 20 clients a month. Now, social media, my key there is I want to share things. I want to get it out there. I had one post, and you guys can look it up, where I made a status about needing a car, and I paid anyone who shared it $10. So let's say 30, 40 people share it. Yeah, it cost me a couple $100, but now my post is littered through Facebook. And one car deal will account for what I just cashed out 20 people. I will cash out 20 people $10 any day of the week if they're promoting me, right? It's free promotion. You got to think outside the box. You're not making money inside the box. I assure you that. To see those big bucks, you got to think outside the box, and that's just what I've done.
You know, one of my favorite trainers, Carrie, you were with me when I learned this. It was Jonathan Dawson. He said I had the good graces to talk to him at NEDA this year. And one of the things that he said was, don't rely upon your dealer to bring you all of your business, because if you rely upon your dealer to bring you all of your business, you're limited, right? And you're an embodiment of that. You know, that when you're talking about going to service, that is the dealer, but that's not like the dealer's not necessarily, you know, weaponizing the service department for you. Buying people sandwiches at Wendy's is outside of, you know, the dealer saying hi, being polite to people at Kroger, knowing the parents at your child's daycare. That's not relying upon the dealership. Those are real action items that even if somebody doesn't have they're not quite as charismatic as you, or they just don't have the energy, they can still build a bridge with their city. And we're seeing over and over that the top players in this industry are not relying solely on what their dealership brings. And I'm so enamored with what you said about Wendy's, because I can't tell you, you buy me lunch, look.
You talk to me, right?
I'm listening. I'm
listening. And if it's not me, maybe my neighbor had said something about, hey, they wanted something. Well, you know, maybe you should go talk to Janae. She bought me a McWendy burger or whatever it's called. You know, I love it. I love it. So I'm sorry for interrupting, but I think that's very, very powerful piece of advice.
Definitely.
So you said you have the flyers, you're canvassing, you know, the town with your flyers, and you have your assistant, your personal assistant, who's helping you do that. It reminds me a little bit about like real estate in some ways, right? Realtors do that a lot. Real estate agents will put flyers out, like, you know, telling you that they're selling houses in your neighborhood. And then you talk about social a little bit. You talk about service. Are there any other avenues you go down to attract consumers?
Yes, it is. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So yes, another thing that I find to be very successful is just getting active in your community. So I have a guy throwing a 50th birthday party at a local venue. I don't know the man personally. I've seen a flyer. I simply reached out to him. Hey, let me pay some of your overhead to now market at your party, right? I'll have small gift cards. I'll sit them out at the bar. I don't even have to go to the party, but allow me to at least pay for half your bar or half your food. I do that so much. You have to get involved in a community that's ultimately going to make your paycheck. You got to get involved. For Christmas, I do, once again, flyers, gift cards, and I pass out Christmas gifts through the town. Check out my LinkedIn. I have a few posts from last Christmas, and I'll just drive through town and pass gifts out. Now, I love to give, obviously. It's just my nature, but a piece of me is seeking business, right? I'm marketing on the back end of that. It's just work. I'm always working. Another thing me and my daughter do, I have my business card and I staple $5, maybe $10 to it, and we'll drop them in Walmart or leave them on top of a cereal box. And on the back of the card, call me for all of your automobile needs. Listen, I had a girl call me last week. I left $20 in a baby formula aisle, and she didn't need a car, but her cousin did. I sold that girl a car on Saturday. It works, guys. It takes money to make money. So you have to now look for ways to capture business. Give people something. We love free stuff. I say we because I'm a part of it.
Yes. That's pretty amazing.
Super
I've
amazing.
never, ever, ever heard anybody doing that. Leaving money on the aisle?
It works. That blesses somebody.
Yes.
Blessing to someone.
That you know, if it doesn't matter who you are and what state of life you are. If you walk by and you see $5 on the floor or $20 on the floor, it doesn't matter how much money you got.
It's mine.
I'm picking it up, right? You know what? Like I think my cutoff is like a nickel if it's in a gutter and there's mud. Anything above that, I'm going for it, right?
Fair game.
Fair game, right? So I can't imagine the engagement of just stapling something. And you know what? JD Power, when JD Power sells a new car and they send you that survey, right, Carrie? They put $1 in, right? When JD Power sends a survey to a customer who bought a new car, they put a crisp, clean $1 bill, brand new in there to get that person's attention and say, hey, we're paying you up front for the survey that you're going to do. I've done that survey for $1. I can't imagine what I would do if I saw $5 connected to a business card next to some baby food that I needed to pick up.
Psychologically, it works. I worked at JD Power for 12 years, and that $1 bill gets people to fill out surveys that have like 50 questions on it. But you know, there's kind of a little bit of a guilt there too, that like if I take this money, I kind of have to give something back.
I have to at least fill it out, right? It's worked on me.
Yeah. No, it's brilliant. Okay, Janae, before we move into your actual sales process, we're still on the marketing front right now.
Sure,
Is there
absolutely.
anything else? I mean, I'm afraid to move on from this because I
Yeah.
feel like you got about 5 other unique tactics that you're using. So what else are you doing? Anything else you're doing in the community to attract these
I got
consumers?
one other thing up my sleeve, and we're doing it today. And I like to involve my children. I get a lot of people on LinkedIn and Facebook question, you're a single mother of 3 kids. Well, when do you have time for them? Well, I incorporate them in this. That's why. Like today, I have gift cards upstairs as we speak, and I live in a new subdivision. Everyone's house is new. We just built them. So I get familiar with my neighbors, and everybody will get a $25 gas card, a little bit more for my neighbors, right? Because I live next to them.
Yes.
So everybody will get a $25 gas card and my business card. And I let one of my kids knock on the door, and it's real formal. It's, hey, welcome to the neighborhood. I'm Janae, and I'm here for any automobile questions. Obviously, I don't start with that, but that's the ultimate goal of the conversation. And that works a lot. They call me the car lady, my neighbors, even the young teenage girls, the car lady. You have to, guys, if you're listening, involve your community. Stop fighting over ups on the sales floor when you live next to 25 ups. Why am I standing at the front door of my dealership when I haven't knocked on the door of my neighbors who are driving a 2010 Hyundai Sonata? Look for that. You guys got to look for it. It's right here. It's up to you to go grab it. And I figured out how to grab it, and I will never do anything else but be in the automobile industry.
We've all heard the story, and Matt, you probably experienced it too on the retail side, but we've all heard the story of the salesperson whose aunt or cousin or whatever goes to a site like TrueCar or buys a car from someone else, and they're shocked. And you're like, wait a minute, your aunt bought a car from someone else?
Yep.
Right? That's painful.
I have a suspicion that would not happen with Janae.
No, I'm not doing my job if that happens. If my neighbors don't have my auto group's name on the back of their car, I failed them as a neighbor. That's horrible.
Yes. I love that. I have an idea for you, Janae. You should have a neighborhood party or something, like a Hyundai focused party. Bring the cars in, have them stop by your house. You know what I'm saying? And feed them.
So cool.
Anyways,
a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Barbecue, come by the house. It'll just be like a Hyundai, neighborhood party. Anyways, I love like an open house, and you got to feed them though, because they have to come. I love that idea. Okay, Matt, we got to jump to the sales process, right?
Yes. Okay. All right. So sales process. So this is where people struggle, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions about your sales process. We're going to focus that on for a little while.
Sure.
Okay. So because I want to hear how a person goes from prospect to closed. So because there's some people who will just find it physically impossible for one human to deliver 71 cars because there's only so many hours. And I know that you touched on this. If you got a 12-hour shift, that's more than enough time to sell 3 cars or 2.5 cars. So I want to hear about the process, and I want to hear about the speed and what you do and how it goes.
Sure. So I'm going to give you worst case scenario. Let's say the process is an hour and a half long. Keep in mind, there's 12 hours in a day, so there's more than enough time to do 3 cars. But for my process, it starts with the meat, right? And I kind of sell myself before anything. We don't even talk about cars. I want to talk about your Kobe Bryant keychain or your daughter going to Spelman. It's strictly relationship for the first couple of minutes. If you lead with the car, I'm telling you, you're a little doomed there. You want to get to know your clientele, date them a little bit, right? Before moving on to marriage, right? So I try to just get as personal as I can be, and then I analyze and land them on a car. Now, some people come in knowing what they're looking for, but if not, I like to qualify. That's a big part of the sales process. The meet and greet, and then qualifying your client, guys, and you have to qualify them correctly. I find a lot of the green peas landing the client on the wrong car. You could have had a car deal, but you got to listen more than you're talking. Figure out what they need, figure out their budget, and figure out must-haves. So once I land them on the car, you got to do a killer walk around. I mean, I'm hopping in the trunk. I make it so fun. I don't want to give you what you can get from any auto dealer in Indianapolis. I want to give you excitement. I want to give you everything else, right? So after the walk around, we'll drive the vehicle. Assuming they love the vehicle, we'll get back. And now we're to the meat of things, right? The good thing with my dealership, I don't handle any pricing. My sales managers do. So I just present my deal. Hey, I have Carrie Wise here. She has a $300 a month budget. She has $2,000 down. Must have heated seats. I landed her on this car. Let's try to make it work. Credit is about a C on a scale of A through F, whatever, right? So I give it to my desk and they'll load me up. They'll provide me with a pencil, a first pencil. I love first pencils. Now that's where you have fun. And you just simply present it to the client. Now, if the relationship is what it should be now, 30 minutes in, you got them in your hand. It's so easy at that point. Now, if you haven't created a relationship, you're going to struggle a little bit here. So the meat is very important, guys. You got to get up close and personal and turn them on, if you will. But then at the first pencil, I just present it. Hey, Mr. Customer, you have X amount down. This is what we're giving you on your trade. Your payment is this. Or with this down, your payment is this. With X down, your payment is Y. Which one works for you? And then you sit back and be quiet. As I present it, it's here's your pencil, here's your payments, which works for you. Don't pick it apart. You don't think from your client's pockets. Allow them to make the decision. Well, I kind of want it to be $300 a month. I totally respect that. I wish I could get you there. You know, maybe if we look at a different car, it's you find the verbiage that works for you in that process. I'm sorry, y'all. I get long-winded.
No, this is good. No, let me stop you for a second because I'm just wanting to jump in here. So, because I think what you're talking about in terms of the negotiation, this is the friction, you know, and we're TrueCar. So we work with consumers, we work with dealers, we kind of sit in the middle of that. And that is where the friction happens. But what I'm hearing from you is you have relationship with these people. So in some ways you kind of have a leg up a little bit from relative to other salespeople in that you probably have some level of trust already established with the consumer. Would you say that's the case in a lot of cases?
Correct.
Yeah,
and it's very important to have that because now it's easier to close that deal. If you're going in and they don't trust you and you haven't known what you've been talking about the whole walk around and you're umming it up, it's not good. You need to go in there high energy, know what you're talking about, and make them happy from that meet. I sell the car at the hello. I don't sell the car at the first pencil. They know if they like me when I shake their hand. Well, it's COVID, so we're not shaking hands, but you get what I mean.
If somebody jumps in a car, like if you're climbing in the trunk of a car, right? All of a sudden, everything's changed. This is now a personal interaction. It's no longer a commodity buy. I'm here to buy that thing for the cheapest price I could buy. When we're breaking bread, we're shaking hands, we're talking about Kobe Bryant, we're talking about all these things, and I'm climbing in and out of trunks. We're now having a relationship between two humans. And that makes me, I would imagine that whole dollar amount flow much easier. So how long would you say that you spend probably doing your demo and your walk around?
Oh, it looks like Janae just disconnected. So let's see if she gets back. I think we lost her. Oh, wait. I think she might be back. Janae, are you back? Yeah, it disconnected just for a quick second. Can you hear us?
So your question again, Matt.
Was like, so the last part of the question was like, how long would you estimate your demos last? No, I'm sorry. Let me take that back. Your product selection, like your qualifying and your demo, like how long would those things together? Is that like 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours?
Not at all. 20 minutes. So if you know your inventory, you know what you're up against. Now, if you're scrolling online and let me ask the manager if we have a Honda, well then no, it's going to take you all day, right? For me, I know what I have on my lot. So if you come in and say, I want a 4-cylinder Sonata leather seat sunroof, I'm thinking, hey, I just walked past that on my way in, right? So it shouldn't take an hour. An hour is excessive. I mean, that's pretty long. I think you should be able to land your client on a car within 20 minutes of communicating with them. You get the budget, you get the hot buttons, you get what they like. Know your inventory, guys. I just put a video on LinkedIn about that. You got to know what you got. If my kids are saying, hey, mommy, I want Fruit Loops. Well, hold on, let me see if I have Fruit Loops. Know that you have Fruit Loops. It's so simple. Know your inventory. Treat the dealership like you treat your home. I know what's in that fridge. So when they wake up and they ask, I know what we got and we don't got. Know what's on your lot.
So true.
It's so true because I was thinking about that as you said that. Like when you walk your lot, it's not just the thing to do. You do it because it's going to serve you that same day.
Hello.
Yeah, I know exactly what cars are in stock. I know exactly where it was. I saw it this afternoon. I love that. All right. Okay, so the next question is, so I have to follow this up with, so it sounds like you have a pretty quick meet and greet and deliver, fact finding and demo, right?
Yes.
Getting a pencil seems pretty quick. I know you go in for first pencil. The negotiations I'm imagining with you are probably relatively quick because it's like, it's almost a friendship buy as opposed to like a commodity buy. So I'd imagine that's it. Do you type your own paperwork or do you have a finance department?
Not at all. Not at all. We have a finance department. We'll package the deal, driver's license, insurance, verify payoff, the usual. I'll package the deal and then it goes into the business office. Now, at that time, I utilize that time to get an online review, ask for referrals. It's not, and I'm done. It's more so, who are you going to show this car to next? Shout out to Malcolm Finchner. He taught me to always ask them for 6 people, ask the client for 6 people they're going to show that car to. That's another guy who spent time training me. And
who is that? Let's see. I missed that. Who was that? Matt? So who is that? Matt? Let's make sure I didn't hear it. Matt from where?
Malcolm Finchner.
Oh, okay.
He's just a car guy locally. He works for different groups, but he was my manager at a point in time. And he always told me to ask for referrals, right? And the way you can disguise that is simply by, hey, Carrie, tell me, who are you going to go show this car to first? Oh, my sister. She said I couldn't get it. Whatever the story is. Well, great. What's your sister's name and number? You find the verbiage that works for you, but you have to ask. You're going to miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I'm going to ask. You don't tell me no, because I'm asking every time.
So you got the customer in finance. You're utilizing the time to get your online reviews, to maybe get some referrals. Customer comes out of finance, then what happens?
Oh, did it click off again?
Can you hear her? I can't hear her, Carrie.
Yeah, Janae, we can't hear you. Oh, okay, Janae, we couldn't hear you. So
I'm sorry.
Now we can. Now we can hear you. Yep.
So when your customer comes out of
my connection is bad. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
No worries.
We go through it too.
Finance, I'll deliver the vehicle. I will do a complete walk around of the car. I'll pair your phone Bluetooth. You just take that time to make them familiar with the car. But I want you guys to take note to this. I always have them save my name and number in their phone. Every single person who buys the cars from me saves my number. And I'll have them call me from the Bluetooth in the car. Let's make sure your Bluetooth works. Tell the car to call Janae Andrews. I'll step out and they'll save my number and call me. That right there is like an OG trick in the book. It works. And they have you saved now.
So you're now a part of that.
I have so much to talk about. I know we're limited.
No, this is great. This is what is so important. It's the most important, digging into your actual details, right? So we love this.
Because Janae, think about you. You said when you first got started, because of the changeover, you didn't get any training for like 6 months, right? So imagine how many other people are out there who just got hired and thrown out into the wild, and they don't have somebody, they don't have a Malcolm, they don't have a Christy, they don't have somebody showing them. That's why we want this information for you so that people can use it within their own stores, or they can up their own game. So don't worry about the timing part. We're good on that.
We're taking our time here. So okay, you said overall this whole process can take an hour and a half. Did you just say an hour and a half?
From the hello to the goodbye? Yes, I think that's a fair number. An hour and a half. I really think that's fair. So when I see guys say they sell 20 cars, I'm thinking, what are you doing with the other 12 hours of your day? If you sold one car, you're done?
Okay, so let's just be fair. Yeah, jump in here, Matt. You know where I'm going with this.
I know, I do. Okay, so this is the missing element, Janae. So according to NADA, and this may not be accurate for 2020, okay, but the average car deal is reported to take somewhere between 4.5 hours and 5 hours. That's the average car deal. That's what people.
Really?
That's what consumers report, and that's what salespeople report. And so, Janae, I'm gonna pause you real quick. I'm gonna pause you real quick. You are very fortunate to be in an environment where you can sell a car from soup to nuts in 90 minutes. Because I've been in dealerships where you've been able to do that, but I've also been in dealerships where I sold myself a car. And it took 4 hours. That's just what the process was, and I sold it to me, right? So
it's your car,
and it's my car. I mean, I wrote myself up. I submitted my own paperwork. I did everything.
It still took 4 hours.
It still took 4 hours, right? So I think No,
but
I don't.
Matt, let's give her credit too. Let's give her credit too, because let's just remember back to our Guinness Book of World Record interview with Ollie. All these deals took about 30 minutes. They took an hour at max, right? So the commonality that I see in these shorter deals beyond the dealer is when you have relationship, there's less back and forth. There's less back and forth in the negotiation. It's much more because you're starting way ahead of somebody who's just taking it up with the stranger they've never met.
Right.
Would you say, Janae? I mean, that's a big part of it. Now that you know the average is 4 to 5 hours.
100%, Carrie. It's that relationship. You're going to struggle when it's rocky, right? Go ahead and get ahead of that in the meet. Get them comfortable. So when you come back and say, this is the best deal, they believe you.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
How many other people are involved in your deals, right? You talked about finance. You obviously are working with the desk from a pricing standpoint, but do you ever have to TO and have a manager come in to kind of assist you in that negotiation?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I couldn't take credit myself at all. I have a phenomenal desk that will TO the client if I'm struggling to close the clients, which I struggle every day. I don't want you guys to think I'm just home running every customer I come in contact with. I have manager TOs on probably 35% of my deals. I do. And the manager is just a second face, right? Some customers are on the fence. Managers have leeway to do things I can't. How about I throw in key replacement or I throw in gap insurance? I don't have that power. So yes, ultimately you have to have a strong desk behind you. And where I'm at, I have some phenomenal guys.
Shout out to Napleton Hyundai of Carmel.
Absolutely. And
so
let's see.
Yeah, hopefully she comes. Okay, so
yeah, there's just.
So just to clarify for the people just for the people in the back who might have missed it, you're able to sell 70 cars a month, beginning to end. You don't have a specialized sales assistant. You don't have your own specialized finance office that works just for you. You're not just loading them up and then dumping them off on somebody else to run through finance and delivery. You're literally doing this beginning to end by yourself. And you're averaging, even before you're even before these rock star months, you were still averaging 40 cars a month, right?
That's for 18. For 19. For 20, I'm averaging about 50 a month. The month before the 71 car month was 68. The month before that was 61. So I'm having some crazy months. It's marketing.
During a pandemic. Can we just say that? During a pandemic, which is just insane. So, I mean, if you were to give advice to someone, like someone's watching this right now, they just joined the car business. You're seeing people all the time, probably even in your dealership, that are struggling like you were struggling maybe in that first couple months. Like, what advice would you give? Where do salespeople go wrong? Just like if you were to give them a couple of words of advice, what would it be?
Yep. So I found myself losing confidence. So you got to stay firm and hold yourself accountable. But I say it all the time. You have to utilize every single minute of your day. Don't get sucked into the cancer about a slow day. I don't have slow days. They don't exist because I don't allow them to exist. I don't get involved in the negativity on your floor. You're going to have cancer no where you go, no matter.
Uh-oh. Looks like we lost her again.
Utilize every minute of every single day.
Yes, let's add her back. All right.
You got to stay true. You got to stay true. But another thing, guys, market yourself. Utilize what's around you. Stop waiting on a dealership to tell you can pay your bills. I'm not waiting on someone to tell me I can feed my 3 children. I'm going to go feed my 3 children. It's that simple. You got to find your opportunity. When you start to find it, you will be so successful because you don't have to fight for that. They're looking for you specifically. Hey, my neighbor Janae works here. Hey, I'm looking for my daughter's friend, whatever the case may be. You just have to put your name out there. Market yourself, guys.
Absolutely.
I love this. I'm so excited about this. So you've said some pretty, like, if the people who watch the show every week, they'll know it. I don't hide this. I stalk every single one of our guests prior. I watch them on social. I want to hear what they have to say. I stalk these people. So you have said some pretty impactful things, and I want to talk to you about them. You said some quotes, and I want you to expand on them.
All right, she's back.
She's back. Okay.
I got you. Right. I'm here. Listen, I'm not going anywhere.
Okay. So the first
we're gonna hang on.
We got 3 quotes. I got 3 quotes. I need you to I'm gonna say that you've said, and I want you to expand on them. I want you to explain them. Okay. First one: treat every day as though it's the last day of the month. Now, remember, you're talking to somebody new. So, what does that mean to you? Treat every day as though it's the last day of the month.
That aggression that they expect us to have the last day to meet quotas needs to be inside you every single day. That fire needs to burn. You can't wait to day 10 to kick it in a gear and let me figure out how to sell 5 cars. On the first of every month, I need to hat trick. And that means 3 cars. You have to be as aggressive that last day as you are the first. And it just calls for a month full of success.
Uh-oh. Mid-sentence. She's going to come back and be full on, like right in the middle of her sentence and continue.
Well, that's good, though, because I got 2 more.
Here she is. All right. So, right.
True.
Okay.
She's right. I am.
All right, Janae, you're back.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we got that. What's the second quote, Matt? You said you had other quotes.
Yeah, you touched on this a little bit more, but remember, you're talking to a brand new salesperson with this quote. Every customer is a potential contract.
Oh, real quick. Yes. So what I mean by that is create the relationship. You can turn a contact into a contract. Simply the difference of 1 letter between the 2 words, and that's an R. Contact, contract. And that's relationship. Listen, I may talk to a woman who can't buy a car, who doesn't have a desire for a car, doesn't need a car. But guess what? I'm sure she knows someone who needs a vehicle. And if you create that relationship with her, she's going to think of you. It's real life, Matt.
This is my favorite one. I'm sorry. I've looked at it a couple times. I just love it. If you have free time in the car business, you're doing bad business. Tell me more.
Yes, there shouldn't be free time. From follow-up to phone calls to marketing, you have to utilize your time. There's no such thing as downtime. I mean, if you plan to sell 70 cars a month, if you plan to sell 20 cars a month, just imagine the work that comes behind that. To be ultimately successful, you have to utilize every second. There's days where I need more time. You know, there's not enough hours in a day sometimes for me to get through the follow-up, the thank you calls, the phone calls. I like to send gift cards, the service drive. I come in an hour early and sometimes leave an hour late, just handling everything.
That's so funny because you said sometimes, it hit me when you said sometimes I need more time. And then I'm thinking about the flip side is like, man, what am I going to do to kill some time? And then here we got somebody saying hitting 70 cars talking about I need more time. It's just a mentality difference. I really love that shakeup. Carrie, I'm sorry for bogarting that part of the conversation.
No. I think we have about 10 minutes left, and I want to jump in. And Janae, hopefully, can you hear me, Janae? Okay. Yeah, it's okay. Can you hear me? Uh-oh. Looks like we may have lost her.
I hope not.
I can hear you. Wrapping this up. Okay, you can hear it. Okay, good. We can't see you, but we can hear. Okay, there you go. All right. So I just, and this is a personal question for me. I think
this is embarrassing.
No, it's okay. Listen.
It's a work from home environment. This is not the first time.
It's not the first time. Somebody just called you a rock star on the comment. So listen.
I'm in the basement and I need to come upstairs. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. We'll give you a second to come up.
Somebody
and don't worry. Hey, if we see your children running around in the background, that's a new norm now.
That's the new norm.
Virtual. That's the new norm, right? This is reality TV. So, Janae, when you're back, I definitely want to talk to you about some challenges you face. And Matt, we talked about this a lot. Hopefully we get her back here. Let me remove her for a second, see if she can come back here. Matt, this is amazing. to
This is
talk to
amazing.
her. It's just like the mindset is what differentiates you, right? The
That's what I had to
mindset
ask about the
differentiates you.
process, because this, I don't think this is a duplicate. I don't think you could duplicate this. Not
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, she's got some fire within her.
Absolutely. You could duplicate it, mindset wise. I mean, mindset
Yeah,
can be
that's what I mean.
duplicated,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
optimism. People are optimistic. It looks like we may have lost her, Matt. I hope we didn't lose her for good, because
Well,
man, I
as
have
long as she has that link,
one
she
more
can go back in.
question.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get it, but you're
Yeah.
right.
So
The optimism, the making the most of your time, the being deliberate with what you're doing when you get there, and having a goal and a process of how you're going to live your day. People can emulate that, and that can take somebody who's already doing 20 and take them to 27, 28, 30. If you're selling cars, going from 20 to 30, going to 10 to 20 will change your life. Going from 10 cars a month to 20 cars a month will change your life. Going from 20 cars to 30 cars a month will change your life, your kids' life,
right.
people who you interact with at the restaurant. It might change their life when you can drop them, fatter tips and everything. So there's a lot let's hope we can get her back in so we can pick her brain a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I think, one of the commonalities, I think, when we talk about some of the successful salespeople that we've talked to, interviewed, is she's laser focused. Let me see if I can add her back in, but she is so laser focused. I mean, it's not about making friends, at the dealership. Like her focus is the consumer and her customers, not necessarily everything else around her.
Yeah.
Hey, Janae, are you back?
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm so embarrassed.
No, it's okay. It's getting cut off a little bit. Like we see something covering the camera. Maybe like something might be over the camera. So you might move it.
Yeah.
We can see you partially. Is there something over the camera on the iPad there?
I don't think so. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
Sorry, it looks like it's permanent.
Oh, okay. Well, we can hear you and we can see a
And
little snippet of you, which is good enough. Okay. We got like 9 minutes left and we got to wrap this up. But we've heard from you on your process, your optimism, your mindset. Like we feel your hunger, like coming through this interview. So like we understand why you're successful in so many ways. But I actually want to talk about some of your challenges. And when I first saw you post on LinkedIn, it reminded me of potentially some of your challenges, because you shared on LinkedIn your success. You said, I sold 70 cars. And not to get negative, but there was a gentleman that came on that post. And the first thing that he said to you was not congratulations. It wasn't, how did you do it? It wasn't anything positive. The first thing he did was remind you that you should think twice about spending so much time at the dealership, that you're not spending enough time with your kids.
I can hear you.
Yes. And so he reminded you that you're probably neglecting your kids, or you're not spending enough time. And what it reminded me, as someone who's worked in this business in a male-dominated industry, is he didn't talk about your success. Your kids, like it was so negative. And to me, I'm like, no, your success is for your children. You are doing this, if I had to guess. So I guess as a woman in this male-dominated space, what challenges do you face? Does that happen a lot where people kind of question you in that way?
All the time, actually. And they question my parenting and when do you have time for your children? I get that every single day. Whew, it cracks me up a little bit thinking about it, because ultimately this is for them. I don't want them to be raised how I was raised and experience what I experienced. So for you to question, when are you there for your kids? Every day I walk through that dealership to secure their future. That's when.
Yes, I got to tell you, Matt stopped me from potentially losing my job when I was about to jump in on that LinkedIn post and give him some of the piece of my mind. But you were defended by a lot of people when that person wrote that, and I just think that it's something very unique as a woman that no one mentions to a guy selling 70 cars. No one asks them about the amount of time he spends with his family. That's just not brought up. I think the other thing I think is like, are there any other challenges you face from a customer standpoint or anything like that? You know, being a woman, or is it,
Not
you
at
know, are
all.
you
Not at all.
okay?
It actually
Good.
works
That's
in my
good.
favor. I don't get any drawback. It helps me, if anything. The hardest part,
Yeah,
Carrie, and I'm not sure if you have children, is being
I do.
away from my babies. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And I'm a single mother. Shout out to their father, Lyle Cole, great guy, very involved, but not in the household, right? So that
Hmm.
leaves me to do it ultimately alone. And that's the hardest part of it. It breaks me down, but I have to think about securing them. They will never have to work this hard because I'm getting it out the way.
And so one other question I have on that front, you know, I have talked to a lot of general managers, owners of dealerships that say they struggle attracting women to the dealership to work in sales, or they struggle. You know, they say women won't apply here. I don't know why. I really want more women, but they just don't want to work here. They don't apply. So, what would you say to the general manager who either struggles attracting women salespeople or has some hesitation? Maybe they have some hesitation in women working and in the dealership. What would you say to that person?
They got to have a little bit more faith in the women. They think you think woman and you think soft or not prepared for something for so long has been a male dominant business. And for me, I would just simply tell them women work a lot harder than men, man, and a lot stronger in my opinion. I think that women, especially ones with children, single women, are pretty strong because they have something to work hard for. And I'm not saying men don't, but a single mother opposed to a single man without any children, you tell me who's swinging that bat.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's pretty amazing. Well, Matt, any other questions for you, Matt? I think we need to wrap
Absolutely.
up, but yeah.
Absolutely. I think I know the answer to this. I think I know, but let's see. All right. So I'm gonna go out on a limb here. 71, is that your highest month so far?
It is.
Okay, so you're gonna do somewhere around 70 this month. You're 71, 68, 61. Okay, what's next? That's what I want to know. What's next for you? What's the next plateau?
I want to pave the sales floor probably for another couple of years. I do look to eventually be a trainer, maybe even a spokesperson. The sky's the limit. Right now, I'm enjoying this money on the sales floor. I'm going to be very transparent. I've never seen it before. And so I want to make it for a couple of years before I look at evolving. I really want to master it. And Ali, you guys sat down and talked to him, is an idol. He is the greatest. So that's where I want to be.
So no, so you don't need to get behind the desk?
No, not at all. I have no desire. Not now. No, no.
Why would you?
It's a pay cut. It's more responsibility
It's
and a pay cut.
more
It's a lot.
headache and a pay cut for you. So why would you want to do that?
At least my kids at home. I don't want to go to work to deal with kids. No, thank you. No, thank you.
You don't need to take on 10 more kids at work. That's awesome. I love it. I love it.
Well, we got some comments coming in, by the way. So someone just said you're a rock star. Another person said job well done. So you got a lot of admirers in the business.
And I do have one.
Janae Andrews. We're going to hear this name again. And Matt, you have one more?
Yeah, well, no, Ricardo Gonzalez is somebody who reached out to me on Facebook, and he asked me to ask you, how could he duplicate your type of success in his smaller town? He works in a small town. I guess it's about 45, 50,000, 60,000 residents. He asked me, and I said to him personally that I would ask you this question: what advice would you have for Mr. Ricardo Gonzalez that he could action to try to duplicate your success?
I want him to take over that town. It sounds like he is in a position to. Seriously, the smaller markets are perfect. He needs to stamp his name on every single hard surface. But if it has a heartbeat, sir, I didn't hear your name, so I'm sorry. But if it has a heartbeat, you need to be in front of it and let them know your face and your name. It will work. The smaller environments are perfect.
I'm going to make sure. I'm hoping Ricardo's watching right now, but if he's not, I'm going to take him exactly to this because I promised him I would do it. And thank you very much for answering his question directly. Janae, I cannot wait until we talk again. I know that we will.
Yes.
We're going to hear this name a lot, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Thank you guys for my technical difficulties. I'm a little embarrassed.
No, it's fine. Listen, you sell cars. You don't need to be on the top of the list from technology standpoint. You sell cars. You do your thing. So, and this happens all the time, Matt, right? We always have technical difficulties. That's the world we live in.
All the time. It's usually me.
Janae, we are going to, Janae, I know I'm going to hear your name. Like, I can't wait to see what's next for you. I can't wait till you post that you sold 100 cars, 150 cars. Like, I can't wait till you need an assistant full time to help you do this, because you're just going to be so busy. So the sky's the limit for you, and it's going to be really fun to watch you. Thank you so much for taking the time out with us.
Thank you guys for having me. I look forward to speaking to you guys again on a better camera.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Bye, Janae.
Bye, Janae.
Oh, man. Okay. We got to wrap this up. We took a while, but it was worth it.
What a pleasure. What a pleasure.
Yeah.
Carrie, what are your key takeaways from Janae's conversation?
I mean, it's mindset, it's mindset, energy, connecting with people. It's not about selling cars. We're not in the car business. We're in the people business. And she personifies that statement. She's a people person, and she's winning because of it.
Yeah, I think so. I think you touched on it earlier, is that like, she's got a laser focus, and, I've worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of salespeople in my time. You don't hear that type of focus very often. It's so refreshing. I think it's something that people should aspire to. So yeah, she's a perfect person in a person business, but not just that. She's laser focused on the job and being successful at that. So I'm thrilled. I'm
absolutely. Well, we're glad to bring another episode of Industry Insider, sponsored by TrueCar. If you want information on TrueCar as a dealer, go to TrueCar.com/dealer. We will see you next Tuesday with whatever surprise guest. We're going to have a great guest this next Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific.
That's right.
Thanks, Matt. It's always great to be on the show with you. We'll see you guys later.
See you soon. Bye.